Good evening, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to our weekly review, reaction to What If, Marvel's What If on Disney Plus. This is episode 3. What if the world lost its mightiest heroes?
That it did.
That's a very interesting story to tell. It makes a lot of sense why they're telling it, but it was not what I was expecting after the kind of the yuck kind of fun.
Yeah.
You can do good in the universe if you're a good person kind of what we were getting last week.
Yep. And this one is dark, and it ends dark, and so we don't know. Is that just it?
Right. So they talk about in the open when the Watcher is talking that that time is like a prism, and each individual glass that you see in the prism is slightly different than what reality really is, right? And we were talking about it after watching this episode. We've been told, or at least the rumor going around, is that all of these episodes are connected. But each one of these so far have been their own pocket universe of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right. And I mean, we kind of talked about it. I'm not real sure how they're going to be connected
I don't either.
Captain Carter would be Steve Rogers. Well, I mean, Steve Rogers, but he wasn't Captain America, and then they got Captain America in the ice at the end. So I mean, if it's a rumor, maybe not.
But with at least what I feel like they're doing, they're telling a story. They're telling an overall story of choices have consequences. Everything they've done so far is about a choice or a reaction to a choice.
Yes.
This particular episode, it was about Hank Pym becoming the Wasp, not the Wasp, the Hornet. Yellow Jacket. I'm just going to work my way through all the flying bugs that want to kill us. The Yellow Jacket, because Hope died on a mission to Odessa that Scarlet Witch, but Black Widow went on when the Winter Soldier shot her, and in this universe, Hope's the one that is on that mission, and she dies, and Hank goes on a killing spree, killing off all of the Avengers,
right?
Which is the OG Avengers.
I mean, he could have done that when his wife
Janet
went into the
quantum realm.
Yeah, the quantum realm. There you go. But he didn't, so that was a choice that he.
In Ant-Man, he was able to compartmentalize. Wow, we're doing great tonight.
Or compartmentalize.
That's the word. It into his work and
taking care of his daughter, right? So I think that probably helped.
But if in this universe he had to lose his wife and then loses his daughter kind of the same way, I would understand why he goes off the deep end and kind of goes off on everything. But him taking it out on Fury by eliminating all of the mighty heroes, all the Avengers who weren't even Avengers yet. This takes place in essentially the week that is
in between Iron Man 2,
Incredible
Thor,
Hulk,
and Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. So it's that week. We know in that week all of 3 of those movies happened at the same time, and so Hank going through and eliminating everybody was kind of an interesting kind of like. I like it. It just I have a ton of questions now because I at least felt with the way they were telling the story with the first 2 episodes that those 2 could actually connect. Like you're talking about the cosmic stuff with T'Challa being Star-Lord, and that whole story arc would make sense within the confines of Captain Carter. And that those could be connected, and then we're working our way to a different version of the Avengers. Well, this one is a completely different timeline, and so it just that's where I think both of us are kind of in that. I don't know where this is going.
Yeah, you're definitely more on the they're all connected camp than I am.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it doesn't make sense because we're not talking about a single timeline anymore. We're talking about a bunch of different timelines.
Right.
So it makes sense that they're not going to connect.
Yeah.
They're individual pocket shows, pocket episodes, but this one just feels a little weird because of how it ended. Like, very unsatisfactorily. Like,
right,
so
right.
Loki has the world, and now what?
Loki.
Spoilers?
If you're watching this show, you've seen the episode. You're trying to figure out how you feel about it. But Loki gets to complete his quest from Thor, being the rightful heir of Asgard, the king of the Jotunheim, and does the whole speech about isn't it better to be subjugated and be a slave than it is to be free of choice?
Yeah.
And so we're fulfilling that story with Loki also, but we just got a 6-episode run of that Loki redeeming himself and realizing that there was more to the universe than trying to take ultimate power.
Right, but he's not there yet.
It's not, right.
This is after that speech.
And
or before that speech.
Yeah.
But that's how he feels. That's what he wants to do. They do that multiple times in this episode where people say things or kind of like Fury's speech and Loki's speech, and I think Coulson says something a couple of times that he had said in one of those other movies, not necessarily The Incredible Hulk because
he wasn't there.
He wasn't in that one, but and I kind of felt like that's just to pull you back to the point that these people are who they are, even though the circumstances around them didn't fall out the same way they did in the original ones that we're in, Timeline Prime or whatever.
Right.
Right. But these people and gods are still the same as they were then. And so they're still going to say these things if they're appropriate and make sense in that context.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of felt like that was their way of kind of pulling you back to this person is still the person
that makes a ton of sense. And that's why we have these conversations, is because I was looking at it from a completely different kind of point of view. I was looking at it from the point of view of what they set up in the first episode with one little simple decision changes all of reality as we know it. And we get a branch timeline and we get Captain Carter. Well, if we do that same kind of thing here, the decision to send Hope instead of Black Widow is the decision, but that's all done off screen.
Right.
And I think part of my issue with this, I won't say issue, that's not the right word. Part of my process of figuring it out in this episode is everything that they showed us is almost exactly from all of the original movies. We got Iron Man 2 in the donut. We got Thor at the university in Virginia. We got Hulk. We got Thor in New Mexico. Going and we get the Hawkeye having a chance to shoot Thor and all that stuff. So the familiarity of this episode, I think, is where I'm struggling with it so much, is that it wasn't as different as the other two episodes have been, and maybe that's where I'm kind of working my way through that process.
And that could just be, again, them trying to show that just because a butterfly flaps its wings in Japan, whatever the saying is, changes the whole world. There can be minute changes as well. There could be big changes, like T'Challa is Star-Lord, and so nobody around him acts anywhere near the same as they did when
Peter we're doing great tonight.
Star-Lord is
Star-Lord.
Peter Quill.
Jesus Christ.
1, 2. But like in this one, everybody's still, it's more, I won't say small because I mean everybody's dead, but things were still going this way and people were still acting the same and in the same sort of situations or situations, but things were just little things kept changing and going.
And like you were saying, the idea of these people are still who they are no matter what, which is exactly what we got in the first two episodes too. Peggy is still a strong woman trying to lead and do things. She just gets the super soldier serum instead of Steve.
Yeah.
Steve's still a good guy, but he's a little guy, and so he has to get augmented in a different way. The last episode, T'Challa's still a good guy. He still wants to do things.
But Thanos isn't. He's completely different.
Right, but Thanos was a byproduct of T'Challa being a good person to him.
Right.
And that episode's about T'Challa more than
it's almost like the last episode with T'Challa as Star-Lord, you're seeing the effects of the Ravagers picking up the wrong kid 20 years later. Yeah. So these big changes have happened now versus this episode where the changes are happening right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And so you're still seeing changes happen, right? Loki is now Emperor of Earth or whatever, but Grand Poobah. But yeah, in 20 years, what will that even look like? It'll be completely different.
What's Earth, what's Midgard going to look like under 20 years of absolute rule of Loki?
Right.
And he has the backing of the Warriors 7 or what, I can't remember what they're called, and the Asgardian army and stuff like
flaming armor thing.
Defender, something like
something like that.
But that concept that when we get that story being told down the line would be really interesting to get to. We're not going to get there, I don't think, in this season. We might do another season. They might do another season down the road, but to continue on with like the ramifications of what happens in each of these individual episodes and move those stories forward. But I just don't think we're going to get that this season. But I like the idea of what you're saying is we're watching the actual events change in front of our eyes in this episode, and not what the outcome of those episodes, what it is. I mean, we now have at the end of the episode, they find Steve's shield, they find Captain America's shield, and then Captain Marvel shows up. So that team up of Captain Marvel and Captain America, which happens a couple times in the comics would be really kind of interesting to see, because now you have a different dynamic.
Yeah.
You have the super strong soldier, but he's also the leader of the group, but you also have a more powerful version of, she's essentially a Superman inside the Marvel universe. She's almost impenetrable, unbeatable kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so having the two of them team up, it would be a very, and I was trying to do the math, like who else is left out there now in this pocket universe? T'Challa's out there.
T'Challa's out there.
Ant-Man is not.
Is out there, right?
Star-Lord and the Guardians are out there, but what does that mean? And then what other human-based Avengers, X-Men, all that kind of stuff are out there. And so it's just kind of that's why we're loving this show, is because we're having this conversation of, we love the MCU and how they set everything up in the shows and everything else, and then this show is making us question, what if? I mean, it's a title, but it's making us question, like, what would happen if you change, if the writers decided to not make Thanos the hero in Infinity War and make him the villain. Like, if you take that one little conversation change, it changes everything that happens in Endgame.
Yeah.
Which means it retroactively changes everything that goes back to Thor and Iron Man and Captain America and everything like that. So that's why in the storytelling process I'm loving this so much.
Yeah. It's very comic book, right? Because they were always, let's make Superman a bad guy, and let's make.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
The James Gunn, not to bring DC into this, but James Gunn in his early draft made Superman the bad guy in the Suicide Squad instead of Starro.
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 Yeah.
And so that's a complete. I think it's still in Leeds Park in London or Hyde. But that changes that changes everything in the story that you're telling in Suicide Squad and the ramifications of what it means for Superman going forward in the movies. Like that. So that kind of conversation is being had here in an animated form,
right?
And I think wrapping it back to the beginning and to get to the end here, I think it's going to show us what the ramifications of the multiverse is going to be.
Again, Marvel is spoon feeding us the multiverse, starting with WandaVision, and things are a little weird, and then with not so much with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Well, that was supposed to be the first one back.
Yeah,
that was the first one into Phase 4. It was supposed to be that and Black Widow. The traditional...
Right. Yeah. And then you get WandaVision, which is a little weird, and Loki, which is a little weirder. And now we've seen the trailer for the next Spider-Man movie, and that's going to be even weirder. And then we're going to get to the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and it's just going to be all out. And putting this in there to be like, okay, this is what this kind of looks like. This is what... Start having these thoughts, because when you get to the end, otherwise, when you got to the Doctor Strange movie, you'd probably, if you didn't have all this back stuff, you'd probably be like, wait, what's going on now? Why is this person bad when they were good? And why are they dead when they were,
This is why why Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios specifically, are great. We couldn't jump to Avengers. You couldn't get to Avengers and have it have the emotional impact for those non-comic book people. Like, the people who loved comics was excited when all the Avengers were together.
Yeah.
But the regular moviegoers weren't going to be emotionally connected to it. So they're going to be like, oh, cool, pretty, and not have that emotional connection. So we had to do Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, First Avenger, Thor, all that stuff to get to that one.
Yeah.
They're doing the same exact setup now to get to what a lot of people are saying is Secret Wars. And Secret Wars is going to blow everything up. Like, it's going to... Who's really who?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, with baby steps, we'll get there. And then, I mean, we've already had that with the TVA, kind of, right? So.
Right. You got the TVA out there. You got Skrulls out there. You got the whatever masks. You got... wizards that could be Mephisto. All right, that's our thoughts on the third episode of What If, and this one is What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes. Let us know what you thought of our reaction and discussion about this episode in the comments down below. Please be nice. As a requirement around here, I have the ban hammer. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and follow us on all the social media stuff: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, you young pups. And until next time, cult members, good afternoon, good evening, and good night now.